everybody. Welcome back to the Spurs95 podcast. We've got a special edition today after Cam and the Jam and Steve did the post-match analysis. We wanted to have another chat with Cam to see his real views on how he thinks things could move forward and how we can actually improve this absolutely dire situation. Really. So welcome back to the show, Cam. It's good to have you back.
Thanks for inviting me back again.
That's good. It's good. So Cam, tell us, let's start from first principles here. Is there an issue? Obviously, nobody wanted Nuno as a manager, but now we've got him as a manager. How is he performing? What is he doing wrong, do you think, that means that the team is not performing? Just help our viewers understand what he's actually doing wrong.
I think that the most important thing to say really is that, you lose some games, you win some games. Everybody expects that. But it's the manner in which you're losing it. It's the manner in which that he's putting the team out in the way that they've been playing. And I'm not talking about from the last 3 games, the last 4 games. I'm talking about the last 8, 9 games that we played. We played 1 in Europe, we played the Carabao Cup, and we played 6. So that's 8 games, correct? Am I right? Yeah, so roughly 8 games. So the first 3 we won on 3 goals, 1 penalty, 2 from Son. It didn't look like we were going to hold or do anything. He put Skip and he put Højbjerg in the middle. We couldn't see any joined-up play in those games. And if you look at Son's goals, they were pretty brilliant. But then he's a brilliant player who made those goals happen. I looked at the first 3 games. We saw the 3 goals, and we were saying then, yep, good, nice to have 9 points. But where are the goals going to come from? Do we look solid at the back? Sanchez had a good game, had a good 3 games. Obviously, bringing Skip in made a big difference because he's got that skill. He was the player of the season for Norwich, and they were first. Skip's left. Where's Norwich now? Bottom and leaking goals like nobody's business. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to work out, Skip, goals, defense, performance. What does it take? What do you need? You need to write it down in baby letters. I don't understand. He's not Trump. We have to draw him cartoons. It's very, very simple to me. I'm not the manager, and I don't pretend to be. So. That's the first thing that I think that we picked up when we all said in the first 3 games, Højbjerg and Skip made a big difference because they made Sanchez and Dyer look better. Yeah.
Yep.
And we had Romero come in from Atalanta, and he was settling in. Injuries late come in. Okay, give him a bit of time. But you've got Italy's top defender last season in your team, can only go up. Am I right to have that assumption?
Yeah, well, you thought so. He's the best defender in Serie A last year. Yeah.
Right, okay, so there we are. We've got a bit of a thing there. Okay. Then he didn't play Ndombele in those 3 games. Yeah. Suddenly he had, an epiphany, a late night dream or whatever, but suddenly Ndombele is back right in favour with Delhi. And so you're going to squeeze them into the team because now he feels they are the players that he wants to play with. Yes, okay, it came on the back of Bergwijn getting injured and Mora having a bit of a niggle. And when you look at the performances against Palace, you look at the performances against Chelsea, and we're going to come on to Arsenal. By the time you get to the performance against Arsenal, you've leaked 6 goals, you're -3, you've leaked already 2 goals at Wolves, and you've leaked 2 goals at Rennes. Yeah, that's that's in total. You just leaked, this is before the Arsenal game, you just leaked 10 goals, right? And you've got to wonder, what is your game plan? We came in, and you were saying, Ray, in the early days, and everyone was saying, well, the one thing that Nuno's doing is he's building from the back. He's going to have a really good defense, and he's going to slowly work his way forward. Well, that don't work anymore, does it? Because the defenses that pile up as a complete shambles. Yeah. In the 5 games, we've leaked 13 goals.
But what happened from the first 3 games? We had 3 clean sheets. All right, we were lucky in a couple of those games, but we did have 3 clean sheets. Mm-hmm. And but then why did he change it? Romero was there. Why would you change a winning team?
Well, exactly. Why would you? And why not just what? Why would? It was very clear that he needed to change in 2 ways. One was Kane was coming back, and secondly, there was no creativity in midfield. He doesn't know how to play Delhi. Frankly, Delhi doesn't know how to play himself anymore. I wouldn't even think we need. One of the things we need to talk about is this: how long does it take? Pigeons learn faster than Nuno. I mean, how long does it take before it sinks into his head that this guy's not got it right now? I don't know what it's going to take, whether he goes to a sports psychologist or whatever, but his game is not good enough for the Premier League.
Let's come back to Nuno. So he did the double over Arsenal last year. Wolves actually won at the Emirates and they won at home. So he knows how to play. He's technically, we can't say technically he doesn't know what he's talking about because he's proved it. He can do it. He said yesterday that he had a game plan, but the players weren't able to follow it, were not capable of following it, or didn't follow it. Mm-hmm. So tell our viewers, what does he mean by that? What is he saying there?
Oh, what he's saying there, I personally, I don't know what he's saying there. But what do you think he's saying? Yeah. I think he's saying he's trying to cover up what he was clearly outfought and outplayed by Arsenal in the first half. His game plan, it seemed to me, was there were 5 players that were supposed to be attacking players. Højbjerg in front of the back 4 was going to be good enough. And what I saw was that Ndombele didn't know where to play. I mean, frequently in the first half, there were 5 Arsenal players between our goal and Ndombele, and he was standing there in no man's land watching them all. I mean, what can you say about 5 players attacking whilst he didn't know where to go, what to do? And the same was going on with Delhi. So whatever his game plan was, whether it was to attack and press high up, it definitely didn't go through.
Look, in the midfield, they had Partey, Xhaka, and I don't know, they may have somebody else.
Xhaka, yes.
Yeah. So were we getting outnumbered in midfield? Because we had Ndombele and we
there was nobody in midfield.
Supposedly, where was Dele Alli?
Dele was completely lost. I didn't got a clue what he was doing. He didn't know whether to attack. He didn't know whether to defend. He might as well have just sat down in the corner by the corner flag, cross-legged, and faced the other way, because that's how significant he was in the game. The spaces that Arsenal had was, I mean, you could see the glee on their faces. I'm not talking about the glee on the fans' faces, the glee on the players' faces to think, God almighty, they've just given us an open field here. We can have pot shots. We can do whatever we want. We can pass it around. We can start playing like however the hell we want, because there's nobody marking us. There's nobody blocking us out of these spaces. It was unbelievable. And I think Jamie Carragher said today in his analysis that there's less space on the moon than there was in the midfield of Tottenham yesterday.
That's funny, yeah. So, I mean, Nuno, I mean, one thing I want to say is whether you want Nuno out or in or whatever, we all know he's not really. Is he really the problem? Is he the root cause of why we're playing like this?
I think there's 2 things here, isn't there? One is that, look, I said this in my comments and I'm going to say this again. Right, you come into a game against Arsenal. Firstly, there's the passion. Even the worst Spurs team would lift themselves more than this team did. That's the first thing. There was nothing there. It was like they were saying on the US TV here, was Tottenham were playing like they were in a testimonial. Arsenal were playing like they were playing in a London derby. Big difference for attitude, big difference in character. This team lacks character, there's no doubt about that. And that does come from the manager. And you may say Mourinho took that character, squeezed out whatever little bit they had, and then Nuno came in and started squeezing more to kind of get all of the rest of the character in the team out, and he's been doing a pretty good job in that. I want to ask you a question, Ray, and that is best defender in Serie A on the bench, the guy who almost single-handedly made sure Norwich won the championship on the bench, technically probably the most gifted player we've had in a long time, Brian Gill, on the bench. Okay, and you have Barcelona's right back who we bought in for 25 million, who looked pretty good on the ball on the bench. Yeah, who do you put in midfield? Delhi, who's got completely outrun over on Chelsea, looks horrible in the last four games in midfield, and Ndombele doesn't know whether to defend, whether to pass. Very good pirouetting around with the ball. His passing, his even holding of the ball in the last few games has been appalling. You put those 2 in there when you have those people on the bench. Now, I put to you, if you were the manager, would you have put that team out?
Well, I definitely would have played Romero in the back. Definitely, and I would have played Skip. So.
You would have played. There's 2 already. Why wouldn't you have played?
I'm not sure about. I'll probably play play Dyer and Romero. I would have played Royal at right back, and I would have played Skip. Definitely, Brian Hill. Maybe I would have brought him on as an impact player.
There you go. So you would have put 3 players on there. Yeah, but the problem for us is here, as Spurs fans, is that Nuno is just not doing the obvious, and he has absolutely... Go on.
Let me put something to you. But what about the fact that Daniel Levy's saying to Nuno, you've got to play Ndombele because we want to get rid of this guy. We need to showcase him. We need to be informed because otherwise we're not going to get any money for him. And also maybe he wants to sell Delhi as well and say, you got to give him game time. Do you think that's a possibility or not?
I think that's definitely up till now, it probably could be a possibility. But let's face it, all he's done is devalued them even more.
Yeah.
So if then Ndombele was worth 10 million, he's now worth 2 million.
Yeah,
Delhi will have to give them money. I mean, this is an Aurier situation, isn't it? Where they're going to actually beg them to leave. Yeah.
But the club is in a complete mess. I mean, what about Harry Kane? I mean, he obviously, we said on, I think, sulking striker looking to be sold or for sale or something. I mean, what is the issue with this guy? Is he just looking to play so badly? I mean, he had a chance where Ben White was where he could have easily scored that goal. He would have put that away.
So many chances.
What's going on here with Harry Kane? Tell us.
I don't think he's interested. I think he's lost it. I think there was another analysis that I read from Gary Neville said that the problem with these players is that they do not buy in. They didn't buy into the Mourinho. They bought in a bit more into the Mourinho style of play.
I think Harry Kane liked Mourinho, didn't he? That's why he stayed.
Yeah, but he bought in a bit more which was to defend and hit on the counter. The Pochettino style was for us to press high and push up the game and have a higher momentum. On the pitch. The Nuno style of the game, no one knows what it is. And if you look at the stats, Tottenham have done the least amount of running and movement of any team in the Premier League now. So what are they doing? I totally get it. Kane's not interested or whatever, but he's still a professional. But have you seen him get any service? Have you seen anything happen on the field that will allow him to play how he needs to? Yeah, he's missing chances, and I think there is a big problem with Kane. But in this structure and the way that the team is put together right now, he can coast and get away with it.
Well, when Nuno got the job, he said we were going to make Spurs fans excited again. We were going to play with the DNA, free-flowing, attacking football. Was that just a facade then? I mean, the real Nuno has actually come out now, hasn't he?
I think that what he really meant was he's going to play the headless chicken football where no one knows what their position is, where they need to go. No one's got a plan. They don't know how to attack. Now, we knew how to defend in the first 3 games, then we didn't know how to attack. So now we don't know how to defend or attack.
I mean,
what are we actually doing?
When he was at Wolves last season, did you ever see them play this badly as Tottenham played in the first half?
Never seen them play this badly, not just against Tottenham. We've got to think about the game that we played in Portugal, I think, against Rennes, and in Portugal. So it has been 9 games. We've got to think about how we played in the second half against Wolves in the Carabao Cup. And we've got to think about how we played against Palace. All right, albeit we went down to 10 men. It was a shambles. And against Chelsea, it could have been, 7 or 8? Yesterday, it could have been 7 or 8 because the players didn't know how to play. There was I've never seen.
So what is the issue, Cam? Is it the fact that he doesn't know what he's doing so that obviously the players don't know what they're doing?
It's got to be.
A plan which is so intricate that players can't follow it. What is happening?
Well, there's 2. I mean, from what we see as fans looking in from the outside, we see a shambles at the back now. We see space. I mean, let's talk about this basic stuff. We see so much spaces in the midfield between defence and the midfield where teams are just running riot. I mean, this is the Premier League. You've got some fast players. You've got everything else. You've got a disjointed players at the front, which have got no connection to the midfield or to the back. And I think it was epitomised with Arsenal's 3rd goal, where you saw Harry Kane running in and actually getting into the box and basically doing a bad tackle on Saka and passing the ball along. I mean, what is going on?
Is that an assist for Harry Kane?
Probably, yeah. Well, that's the only one he's had in a long time, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
how is this? Look, take us forward now. How is this? What needs to be done for this to all move forward and for us to actually potentially move up the table? What do we need to do now?
Well, the question that we asked yesterday of Steven Jam, I mean, how many more games does he get? I mean, do you remember the days of Wanda Ramos?
Yep.
How many games did he get? He got 8 games.
I think he got 8 games, didn't he?
8 games, yeah. And we were in the bottom 3. Right now, we're in the bottom half of the table. If we hadn't got those lucky 9 points in the first 3, and I say lucky 9 points, we would have been would be in the bottom right now. Where do you see? We're going away to Villa. We've got West Ham.
I think it's at home at Villa. I think we're home to Villa. But I don't see us winning that. I think Villa are going to turn us over.
Right.
Villa playing really well. They were unlucky. Even though they lost 3-0 to Chelsea, Villa played really well. They had a few chances, couldn't score. I think it's going to be really difficult. They beat us last season as well. I think we're
They
going to
beat
lose.
Manchester United away.
They beat Man United away.
Where's the goals coming from? Who's going to be defending? You've got. Imagine now you're Romero, just won the Copa America, voted the best defender in Serie A. You come to Tottenham and you're sitting on the bench looking at that. I mean, you would have turned around and find the exit door. I'm on loan. Please, somebody take me back.
Is he actually on loan with an obligation to buy? What is the situation there? Has he been bought or is he actually on loan?
No, he's going to be bought. Allegedly, I mean, you're supposed to be play him, see how good he is, and then buy him. Yeah, I mean, Lo Celso just completely. I know he's probably.
I don't know what Lo Celso's doing.
Is doing. I mean, anybody. Assume that you're a Tottenham player who's injured or just
losing the mic. You're talking away from the mic.
Right. So just assume you're a Tottenham player, right? And you're about to get back into the first team, and you see that performance.
If you talk like that, that's perfect. Yeah, go on.
Wouldn't you just want to crock yourself and stay out of it? I mean, do you want to be associated with that? Who wants to be? Which player is motivated right now to play like that in that formation in that team?
Okay, is this whole season a write-off now, regardless of what happens? Even if Nuno gets sacked, nobody wants to come, so Ryan Mason's going to take... Is this just a write-off this whole season?
I think this season is a write-off, but I think also this season is going to be a massive financial loss for the club. You're not going to get the money back for Ndombele. 60 million. I mean, the problem we've got with Ndombele is not the 60 million that we outlaid for him, but isn't he the highest paid player as well at 250,000 a week? 250,000 a week. Just think about that for a second. For what?
What do we do with Harry Kane then?
I think if we get 60 million for Harry Kane, we'll be lucky right now.
Really? That low? Gone to like 50% devalued?
I think that every game that goes by, every time, we're now into 9 games. We said he scored once. I think against Wolves.
Carabao Cup.
Yeah. Right, and 6 games in the Premier League. Has he been any season 6 games in the Premier League? I know he didn't start the first few, but 6 games in where he hasn't scored once.
Is this his way of getting back at Daniel Levy, saying you weren't going to sell me, so sod it, I'm not going to go and put goals in for you. You're going to go down the table. You're not even going to get any European football. Is this his way of getting back at Daniel Levy?
I think that you said it before. Everybody said it before. You have a player that is uninterested and has made his position clear. Get what you can and get him out. And if there was ever a case for that, that's got to be shown right now. He's voting with his feet, isn't he? Literally.
Yeah, he is. But everybody says Daniel Levy is such a brilliant businessman, brilliant thing. Yet he's keeping somebody against their will. And
such a brilliant businessman. He bought Ndombele, couldn't sell him. Yeah. He couldn't get rid of Aurier, had to beg him to cancel his contract. We're stuck with Delhi. We're stuck with a lot of mediocre players that we have no money in which to spend. The players that we buy, we don't play. Now, what team do you know will buy 4 players? And in that, I include Skip, brings back a player on loan of that quality, has 4 players and plays none of them regularly. I mean, who does that? Why buy them then?
I don't know. That's an interesting thought. I don't know why he's got... For one, the main one for me is Romero. He's a great defender, or he's supposed to be.
So for me, so is Emerson. You put him in the team.
Emerson, let me counter that. If he's so good, Barcelona wouldn't have got rid of him.
Well, Barcelona are desperate for money, and they're even a worse situation than we are.
There's other players they sell Griezmann as well. They've got other people. You're not telling me Griezmann's no good.
They haven't been able to sell him.
Yeah, is Griezmann still at Barcelona? I think he's gone back to Atleti, hasn't he?
Oh, I think he may have done. Yeah.
Yeah. But Emerson Royal, let's give him a chance. He's only just joined the club. He's got to play. But
I mean, Gillen.
He took Tanganga off at halftime. But so why did he take Tanganga off? What did he do wrong?
I think that I mean, it's an incredible situation, isn't it? Because I mean, the stats show that Tanganga had an awful game and Tanganga was playing badly, but who was playing well? That's the first question. And secondly, you, me, and every single person could see the team was completely disjointed, whether it was disjointed at right back or whether it was disjointed because there were so many spaces in midfield. And that, to me, shows the problem with Nuno. Because like I said to you, I'm not happy to lose 3-1, but I can take a loss of 3-1 if there was a team out there that was trying and that the manager knew what he was doing. Now, you knew and I knew after 10 minutes that they were overrunning us in midfield crazily, right? That was the time to change it. Did he have the guts to do that? No.
This is the issue I have.
3-0, the game's over. Who cares?
This is the issue I have with him. I mean, as you said, the fans, we're not experts, but we can see we were being overrun in midfield. There was nobody there. Surely Nuno can see that. Why didn't he make some changes there and then? Change the formation, get some new players on, or just rearrange the formation? He's not capable of doing that thing, is he?
No, but like Steve said, he was very good at stroking his beard, looking around all huff and puff and everything else, right? But it means nothing. Any manager that doesn't have the balls to make the changes when they are needed for the team is not worth it, especially when you put out new. He himself said, I made a mistake with my tactics. And if you made a mistake with your tactics, you don't change it at 3-0. You change it maybe at 1-0. You change it before that. You don't sit there and say, one of the things that upsets me, you said this is let loose. One of the things that upsets me is when all these people go around and hold their hand up and said, yeah, that was my fault. That doesn't mean anything. It's that so great. Okay, it's your fault. Well done. Let's pat you on the back for accepting your responsibility. But how does that change anything? We still lost 3-0. You still screwed up the tactics. It was your fault to start off with. At 1-0, everyone could see that by the time they scored their first goal, they had already had about 6 chances, I think. They were shooting left, right, and centre. Why did you not change it then? Why did you not change it then?
Let me ask you a question. Do you think Nuno's lost interest as well after 6 games? When his interview and stuff like that, do you think he's actually lost interest as well? Maybe he thought there's nothing I can do with these players. Even he's given up after 6 games.
If he's given up after 6, I think what he is he's come into this team. He's come into a bigger team. I don't think he can hack it at Tottenham on the pressure. I don't think he can take that. I would ask you, imagine if that game would have been at White Hart Lane. Imagine how the fans would have been on his back. I mean, the fact that he humiliated us, right, at the Arsenal is in itself an humiliation. I mean, we all have lost. We haven't won a game at the Emirates since 2010, apparently.
I mean, we lost last season, but at least Mourinho's team, we took the lead. We had some chances. We tried, didn't we?
We tried. There was no trial. We didn't try. Yeah, in the second half we tried, but they'd given up. They had already got they'd had their points. They got their 3 points.
They're winning 3-0. They took their foot off the gas. They didn't need to go anymore. They just took it easy, and that's the way.
I mean, in a way, they did us a favor. They could have for me personally, I wanted to see a 6-0 humiliation so that the pressure really comes onto Nuno, because that's what it should have been. I mean,
but this is what I keep saying to you, Cam. You want Nuno out, which is great. But who do you want to come in?
I'd stick with Ryan Mason and Ledley King.
Ryan Mason? Come on. This guy didn't have a clue in the cup final.
Maybe he didn't have a clue in the cup final, but at least until we can sort out some of the fundamental issues in this team. Because right now, the way that the one thing, the difference between Mason and King and Nuno is at least they looked like they knew how to play football, and the team wasn't so disjointed. It might have been a bad team. The problem that I've got with Nuno right now is the defense don't talk to the midfield don't talk to the strikers. It's like 3 different sets of players on the team who don't want to play together. There isn't a team that's put out. At least before, we hated Mourinho, we hated Mason, whoever you've hated. Right, this to me goes back to the days of Christian Gross, or remember that French guy that came in for a few.
Yeah, before Martignol, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're just complete. The team. It's not even a team. They don't even know how to play. It seems like these guys have just met at a bar and a pub and said, "Let's have a kickabout."
Ryan Mason is not the answer. Ryan Mason.
No, it's not the answer by any means. But I mean, is he going to be any worse than this? Maybe.
Well, if that's your criteria for changing it, then
my criteria would be
Mourinho couldn't get anything out of a tune out of these guys. Nuno can't get a tune out of them. Mason didn't do much either.
But
we've got to admit the players. It's the players.
I agree with you about the players, but there's one thing that I won't. My biggest concern and beef with Nuno is the fact that the players play badly, but they play badly within a structure that we can understand. Nobody can see. It's so disjointed. It's so disjointed that you can't even get them passing the ball from midfield to the front. You can't even plug some of the spaces. It's different. Under Mourinho, he plugged the spaces, but the players performed badly. They didn't, we lost so many games in the last 5 minutes.
It was a low block and then hit them on the counter. We knew what was doing.
We knew what we were doing.
He said the players couldn't execute it, which I think is a fair point. The players were better we had at Chelsea and stuff like that. So that's fine. At least there was a system. I don't understand what system we're playing.
And that is what I'm saying. My biggest concern, the reason why I want this guy gone, because he's actually taken this team, who were not very good to start off with, I'll be honest with you, and he's turned them into a team that they can't even pass the ball. they can't get the ball. There's nobody. We didn't have a creative midfielder before. Now, I mean, we have an uncreative midfield that can't create anything, right? And we can't defend. I mean,
Why
the
can't
only
we have
two.
Dele Alli playing as a number 10 and have Skip and Højbjerg behind him?
Dele Alli cannot play football anymore. I think
All right,
that we've
okay,
got to
Dele
write
maybe,
him
but
off.
Lo Celso
He's
and
gone.
Ndombele up front. Yeah.
And Ndombele can't play for. And Ndombele, to me, he's got to go back to the 5th division in France, and we might get 500,000 for him. But I mean, there is. I've read a number of articles where they said that Tottenham's 60 million loss. We've got to accept. But it's not the 60 million. If you're Ndombele right now and you look at your own performances, £250,000 a week for the next 3 years, 4 years, 3 years he's got left to go. Man, I'll just sit back and take it because I can't play football. No one else is going to ever give you that money ever again in your whole life.
But what's going to happen then? Can you tell us what's going to happen?
£6 million plus a year. That's 7 million a year in his pocket to play like that.
Now, if you look at let's just look at the team. You've got Romero and we've still got Dyer and Sanchez, which for me, they should both go, but we've still got them. And then we've got left back. Reguilon for me has been poor. What do you think about Reguilon?
Regular, well, I mean, if Real Madrid were ever going to exercise that option, it ain't going to be in our lifetimes, that's for sure. Yeah. I'm very, very poor. I mean, and the poorness for me was really when he was one-on-one with the keeper and against Chelsea. I think it might have still been 0-0, and he just fumbled it and fell over and didn't know what to do. I mean, it's awful. His defensive work is bad. Saka could have had the 4th goal. You saw Reguilon trying to defend him. Awful. But that can be improved upon. I don't believe that cannot be improved upon. The fact that the other thing about Nuno, going back to Nuno here, is name me one player that is playing better under Nuno that's played under any other manager. Who's improved? Name me anybody that is improved.
Eric Dyer.
Well, good one. Yeah, I'll give you that. Eric Dyer. Right? But, Son is the only one that looks like he knows how to play football and actually gives a damn. How many players did you think gave a hoot?
Only Lucas Moura and Son. Harry didn't give a damn.
Yeah.
The only two.
The only two.
Lamella would have been going around kicking. We missed Lamella. At least he gave 100% all the time.
Yeah, I thought Brian Gill gave 100%.
Brian Hill when he came on was very good. Yeah.
Emerson did pretty well when he came on, and Skip. I mean,
Skip was very good. Yeah.
Skip in his first 3 performances was undroppable until Nuno came along and somebody decided to drop him.
What did Skip do wrong to be dropped for this? I can't see it.
Made us defensively stronger.
Why did he? No, my question is, why was he dropped? He was playing so well. Why has he been dropped?
Well, that's why you and me are sitting there talking about Nuno, and everyone's going on about, but what will another manager do? Maybe play Skip. Maybe just put a team out that my 5-year-old granddaughter would have picked better than that. I mean, this is the thing. It's not rocket science. I mean, if it was something that you were saying fundamentally, my biggest concern about yesterday was there were players on that bench that could have plugged those gaps. That, okay, he tried it. He saw it for 20 minutes. They hadn't scored yet, but we were overrun like crazy.
Do you remember there was a match?
Oh, my God, get Skip on right now. Get Dele right off. Stick Skip on there. Bang. Different.
Do you remember there was a match last season where Mourinho took Eric Dyer off after 20 minutes? Do you remember that?
I don't know.
What game was that?
I can't remember what. I think
but
we were
he took
already,
him off because the system wasn't working, and he brought somebody else on.
Wasn't working, yes. Yeah. But I mean, this guy made a change at halftime, 3-0 down at the Arsenal. I mean,
too late then. It's too late.
It was too late. But every single one of us could see those gaps. Every single one of us could see that Dele was not performing. Every one of us has seen Dele's not been performing since his first game against Manchester City. He hasn't been performing.
This is exactly
he performed against Watford and Wolves.
What has he done to get a starting berth against Arsenal? I don't know.
Against anybody. Yeah. Against anybody. I mean, if you're a manager in the Championship and we offered you Dele, would you take him right now?
I wouldn't take Dele for anything. Why would I pay all that money?
There you go. That's the bet. You can get into the Spurs team, allegedly top 6 team.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what the next team out is against, not the team on Thursday, but the team against Villa. That's going to be an interesting selection, isn't it? Do you think he's strong enough to say, right, you guys let me down, I'm not going to play you guys, I'm going to get my...
Well, he's strong enough. He talks bold, he talks strong, but he puts out, but then he hasn't got a clue because he's not sussed out how... I mean, one of the things we haven't spoken about, right, is the fact that this team can't score goals. We scored
Because
4 goals.
Harry Kane is not scoring, then that's why they can't score. Son can't do it all the time.
No, Son scored 3.
Yeah,
1 penalty.
Can't do it all. Yeah, but Lucas Moura, you said, hasn't scored since March 2021.
Yep, but this guy, I'd have no confidence that Nuno can get goals out of this team. I believe that any other manager will know how to get goals out of this team. He just done that. We said, okay, he can't get goals out of the team, but he sure has sorted out our defence. Well, that went through that out of the window when we just conceded 13 goals.
We can't score, we can't defend. So what can Nuno bring to us? And we've lost, as you quite rightly said, we've lost 26 goals with Vinicius and Bale.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So what can he bring? I don't think he can bring anything. So the question is, let's see what happens. I mean, unless a miracle happens and he turns it around, how many more games has he got in your eyes? If you're Daniel Levy right now, what's your view?
I think I'll give him till the international break. If he doesn't turn it around by then, I'll fire him and I get somebody in to work. At least he's got the international break.
Yeah, I bet you Levy's out there looking for somebody right now.
I bet he probably is. But it wasn't Levy's choice. And now this is what we've heard, that Daniel Fonseca, he gave an interview with the Telegraph saying it was all set, it was all done. And then Paratici was appointed and he wanted a more defensive-minded coach. And we know Fonseca was all attack. Mm-hmm. So maybe Fonseca would have been a better guy, even though we probably wouldn't have win matches, but it'd been nicer to watch, wouldn't it?
There would have been. Who knows? I mean, all I know, the question for me here is, and I keep on saying this till the cows come home, and that is the fact that the team has no structure. And that's why we've come up with the no plan, no, because they're the team. I've never seen a Spurs, and I've seen some bad Spurs teams, and so have you, but I've never seen a team so disjointed. Yeah. I mean, I see 3 different groups on the pitch, none of which know how to play together. So you got a couple of bozos in midfield with Ndombele and Dele. You got the back 4 who don't know what these guys are doing there, and then you got the front 3 that's looking around and saying, "Who are these guys?" Because they're not passing to us. There's
what formation were we playing on Sunday? Tell me.
Well,
is it a 4-3-2-1? Is it a 3-5-2? What was it?
It looked to me like a 4-1-3-2.
4-1-3-2. Okay, 4-1. So Højbjerg in front of the back 4.
Back 4. That's why there was all the spaces. There was so much space. I mean, there's Ndombele standing there. I can never burn it into my mind. There's 5 Arsenal players running forward, attacking, and he's actually standing behind them watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were moving. And then he sort of like ambles a little bit, like somebody.
But he's a luxury player. He's a luxury player that's not going to defend. You need to play him up the field where he can't do much harm, but can only do damage for the other team.
Well, luxury player when you've got, luxury player maybe in Manchester City. Luxury player maybe when you've got, Ronaldo's a luxury player. I mean, if it was, are we at that level? No, so we're playing the luxury player at the expense.
We can't carry anybody.
What about Dele? You've got.
So you're now the manager of Tottenham Hotspur. You've been appointed. Cam has been appointed the manager. What is your first team? What's the team you're going to put out?
I'd play Emerson and Romero. I'd probably play Dyer with them and Reguilon, who we need to work on very, very strongly.
Even though you wouldn't... Okay, so that's your back 4, yeah?
Well, unless I went for a back 3 with Tanganga, Romero and Dyer, and then push those 2 further up so that they could play further up. Yeah. I wouldn't drop Højbjerg and Skip, because with the back 3, you'll just definitely need those. I'd never play Dele again. I'd never play Ndombele again. I would probably use more... Lo Celso and or Bergwijn with the 2 up front. I mean, what do you do with Kane? Personally, I think at this stage, I'd drop him and bring him on as an impact player.
How's that going to do
for me? I would, and I say this from having watched the World Cup. The Olympics. I watched the Olympics because Brian Gill was playing and he got Spain to the final. And he played from the beginning and he played pretty damn well all the way through. And I wouldn't use him as an impact player. I'd actually integrate him into the team for one reason and one reason alone. Because he's technically very gifted. Son's technically very gifted, as is probably Moura. But there aren't many technically gifted players in the team unless you're going to include Ndombele. But he can't defend and he can't pass. So, for me, that rules him out. And I think the team lacks technically gifted players. And he would be in my starting 11 every time.
So you play Son up front with Hill and Moura either side, yeah? And you drop Kane?
Yes.
Okay, and your midfield would be Skip and Højbjerg, and it's basically a 3-5-2 then, isn't it?
Yes. Can't be any worse.
Well, we can't do any worse than what he did against Arsenal. Absolutely, it cannot be any worse.
That team actually sounds pretty good to me, doesn't it to you?
Yeah, well, on paper, a lot of the teams sound good, but when they perform or not, God knows. Yeah. Are you happy with Hugo Lloris?
I mean, I don't think Lloris could have done anything.
Not with any of those goals, no. But he saved us against Chelsea, I think. Made some great saves.
I mean, the thing is that he did. What if he hadn't? I mean, the problem here is, and this is what I think is the issue. He hasn't. Nuno has been very lucky. He hasn't had his Bayern Munich moment. He hasn't been slaughtered 7-1 or whatever. You know, yesterday I was waiting for that because if they hadn't taken the gas if they hadn't taken the foot off the pedal in the second half, it could have been a 7-1. I mean, you know, Arsenal couldn't believe their luck. But Nuno has been spared. Lloris spared him against Chelsea, but it's coming. And you know what?
Is it going to become against West Ham maybe?
Exactly. I mean, can you see us playing against this West Ham team?
We'll get thrashed, I think. They're playing really well. I saw them play against Leeds. They had so many chances, and defensively they're very strong. It's quite a good team, West Ham. It pains me to say it, but they look like a proper team. They're actually playing as a team.
And the thing is that, you know, we were the best team in London up until a season or so ago. Now we're probably the worst team in London. I don't think
that Brentford are going to give us a good game. Probably going to beat as well.
Oh, we'll be sorted by Brentford. I mean, I saw them play against Liverpool. You know, I mean, what a cracking game that was.
It was a great game, yeah. So, what rumours are you hearing about what's happening? Anything? You're pretty close to the, you know, all the
Tottenham hierarchy.
Yeah, no, well, not the Tottenham hierarchy, but social media. You read articles, you watch a lot of things. What's the word coming out from there then?
I think the word very clearly is that, you know, the feeling is that the guy's lost interest. His style of play and the players that he's got, nobody signed up for it, nobody signed into it, and that hasn't been more obvious against these important. I mean, you know, the games against Chelsea, the games against Arsenal, one at home, one away, right? What our seasons were always about. This is where we always raised our game somehow. I'll never forget that time when Jenna scored the goal against Arsenal when we were losing in the last minute because they were champions. They were 20 times better than us, but the Tottenham guys never gave up. Or whether it was, you know, we were taking last minute free kicks. We can't score from a corner. We cannot score from a free kick. We have no dead ball specialists in anything. Right? Yeah. So where are the goals coming from? And I don't believe this guy knows how to deliver. I don't think he's got anything to offer us any more than what he has. He was supposed to bring something to the team, which I don't know what he is. And that is my biggest issue. See, I would support Nuno. He's only been there 6 games. But after seeing what we've seen, I just can't see anything coming out of it. 2 more games and he's out if we lose.
Right. And then you think Ryan Mason's going to come back, yeah?
Well, I mean, you know, all we can say is they're going to have to do something because this is we're right now we're relegation fodder, aren't we?
Well, I was about to say I was listening onto the radio and some guy was saying the 2 worst teams in the Premier League are Tottenham and Norwich.
Yes, without a doubt.
So when we play them, it could be a relegation 6. But could we actually really get relegated, do you think?
Because I think, no team has a God-given right to stay up, do they?
Sure. No, I agree with that.
I mean, the results speak for themselves. So we can live in cloud cuckoo land and pretend we're too good for it. I mean, a month ago, we were top of the table.
We're so easy to play against, aren't we? We're so easy to play against.
I mean, yesterday was... I mean, any Arsenal fan will say to you they have serious problems in their team. All they needed was a game against Tottenham to give them...
We made them look like Barcelona, didn't we?
We made them look like Barcelona. We had a Harry Kane who didn't give a crap. We had a Nuno who was more interested in grooming his beard than actually game management. And we had Son who just signed a 5-year contract wishing he could go back in time and tear it up again and get out of this hellhole. Awful. All
right, Cam. Well, listen, thanks very much for that. It's been great talking to you again and get your views and everything like that. Let's keep on the situation. If there's any changes or anything happens, then we'll definitely have another podcast and we'll discuss it. But your final thoughts then? Just give us some final thoughts before we close the podcast.
Final thoughts is we need root and branch change. I mean, if we could get a billionaire to come in. But
actually, one thing I was going to mention to you, and I've seen you probably seen the same paper reports, that in the Telegraph, they were saying that Daniel Levy's quoting 3.5 billion to people if they want to buy Tottenham. Now, how ridiculous is that?
That's ridiculous. Right now, you're probably talking about 3.5 million.
Yeah.
Because the state of affairs is awful. I mean, you've got a 60,000 plus seater stadium. They will not be selling the tickets because nobody wants to come and see that. So, this is becoming a very quickly, it's turning into a white elephant. And unless there's some serious changes from top to bottom, we probably will be enjoying our time in the Championship next year.
But going back to Nuno, I mean, 6 games is not fair, is it? Surely managers should get longer than that at least.
It's not the 6 games, 9 games. But that's not the point. The point, like we said, Ray, is the level of just disjointedness in that team, and the fact that there is no plan. No.
If he had a plan and we were just unlucky, or the teams were really good, then fine, it's going to come good eventually. But there's no plan. I agree with you.
And they were trying, and there was something going on. You could see, give him more time. He's going to get this right. There's nothing. There's nothing. 3 goals conceded. What are we now at? Minus.
For the first time in I don't know since how long we've conceded 3 goals in three matches.
18 years.
Yeah. Another record for Nuno, one for his record books.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Cam. Thank you very much. This is Ray from Spurs9501. This is Cam in Florida as well. We just had a quick chat about Tottenham. I think you had a name for Tottering Flop Spurs or something. I don't know what you call them.
Tottering Flop Spurs.
Flop Spurs. And now it's Nuno, No Plan Nuno. He's been renamed. So Cam has got all these acronyms and abbreviations in full swing now. Think up some more for the next podcast. But thank you, Cam. Pleasure speaking to you again. And we'll see you on the next podcast. Thank you very much.
Thank you.